Good morning, afternoon, and evening, wherever you are, and welcome back to Lord of the Rings, The Rings of Power, Season 2. We are talking about episodes 1 through 3. I am joined by my ring bearer in arms, Zamario. How you doing?
I'm fine, thank you. And it was really good to see things coming together finally. Regardless of how people feel about this series, I felt we had some construction in this first couple of episodes. So I look forward to talking about it.
Yep. And we started off with 3 episodes this season, or the we start off the season. I don't like this because we only get 8 episodes, and then they start us off with three. I'm okay with them starting us off with two, but man, like getting through 3 episodes in 2 days or less than two
Hmm.
days is that's a bit of a slog. And don't get me wrong,
Yeah,
I like Lord of the Rings, but that's like sitting down and watching a lot of Lord of the Rings. That's what the
yeah.
Fellowship of the Ring extended edition, because I think that's like 3.5 hours. So
It was a bit of a grind. I was kind of exhausted by watching the third episode, considering we have to try and get all of this out. The following day of it coming out. So yeah, it was a bit of a grind. Yeah, and we know we've got other things on our plate as well as our lives. So it was a bit hard, but we did it
yep,
eventually. Oh look,
we
Rick
did it.
B, they sucked.
Of course they did. Okay. Anyway, moving on. Okay, so 3 episodes. Episode 1 title is Elven Kings Under the Sky. Episode 2 is Where the Stars Are Strange, and episode 3 is The Eagle and the Spectre. So I don't really have I don't want to go through all 3 of these episodes. Just it's going to be too much. So I'm kind of just going to break it down with the characters and like where pick up with them and where we leave off with them, like at the end of these 3 episodes. So you okay with that, Zam?
No problem. But if I could just start off by saying,
That's
like,
fine.
I've come to accept that this is not Peter Jackson's Lord of the Rings. Yeah, and I think people need to really understand that the grandiose of what we got there is not what we're getting here. This is far different. We have more of a larger story to deal with, expanded across different parts of Middle Earth with so many people involved all over the world. The pacing is going to be a tad bit slower here and there because we have character development. You have to accept that this is not going to be Peter Jackson's Lord of the Rings, but at the same time, um, you also appreciate it for what it is. It is a series; it's not a movie, and what it delivers.
Yeah, I have to say I am very happy where these first 3 episodes of this of season 2 have picked up. I especially like the downfall of Sauron after the in the Northern Kingdom. It was called Ferodorath
He was
or
an elf, wasn't
Ferodrath,
he?
huh?
He looked like an elf, or was he pretending to be one?
He is no, he's a Maiar. So I mean, they do have like that elvish look to them, but he
Yeah, yeah.
also is in that elvish form because that he has a fairer self, and that's his fairer self. Like Sauron's a shapeshifter. He can take any form he really wants. He could be a dwarf if he wanted to. Not that he
Well,
would, but I mean, he obviously can be a human
you
and an
got
elf.
you got proper Julius Caesar at the beginning of the first episode by all his guys all stabbing him and all of that and
Oh yeah, it was. I did like that though because it showed us the fact that Sauron is like, he's powerful. I mean, I mean, it took a lot of them to take him down. So
his blood was black and it leaked through the ground. It almost looked like it ended up in Gollum's cave, which obviously won't be his cave. If it is his cave, I don't think it is his cave, but it looked like that.
no,
Um,
it was in the far north, far north
yeah,
of the Shire and stuff like that. Like kind of where where Morgoth's, the original
yeah.
baddie of Middle Earth was set up, and this takes place right after Morgoth's defeat, and Sauron is trying to rally the orcs to
Be
to
their leader.
yeah, to be their leader. And so
Yeah,
then
They killed anyone once,
Adar,
yeah.
basically said, "Yeah, screw that," and usurped the new king.
And then uh Sauron turned into the Venom symbiote.
Yeah, it's kind of weird because that's not exactly how I imagined like Sauron having to rebuild, like an Maiar having to rebuild themselves. Like I was thinking more they would more be this entity rather than this goo, but I guess it's supposed to represent kind of like Gandalf when he would come back, when he was an entity, he would more be angelic. And they do show Sauron in the Lord of the Rings movies as well as describe him in the books as being looking like a more angelic figure. And there's a deleted scene in Return of the King where Sauron actually presents himself to Aragon and like right before that final battle at the Black Gates. And it
Yeah.
shows him in a very angelic form of him appearing as that kind of not fully formed entity, and it was more angelic, like so. Again, I mean, that's movies, show, book, like that. There's everybody who's going to have their own opinions on that whole thing. Daniel Vance says, I thought it looked like Gollum's Cave 2, Zam. And I mean, I agree, but I think it was too far north. So
No, it's just appearances. I didn't think it was Gollum's cave, but it's just the appearance I saw. Of the nothing from Neverending Story, the
yeah.
Halbrand.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I love the music. I love the use of music as a power among all the races.
But when Sauron was still in that in between form, that Venom form, like the way his body moved, like it was like this slab, it's like
Mm-hmm.
flipping over. It was like like the spring when it goes down the stairs. It was like that. It was like flipping over itself. And then when it finally gets that woman, it only eats the woman. It eats the horse as well because there's no horse.
No, the horse ran off.
Oh, the horse ran off. Oh, I thought the horse got eaten.
No, the horse ran off. No,
Okay.
the horse made it out. You know me. I was watching that. I'm like, is he gonna get? I was sad when he got the rat. Like
yeah, and the centipede. He wasn't missing anything. You know what I
mean? I know. Well, I think humans deserve it. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
humans deserve it, but the rats and stuff like that. But it is what it is. It's just they're supposed to present him as evil.
He ended up looking different to the form he was before he was killed by the orcs.
Yes,
at the beginning as well. So he looked a little bit different. I don't know why, but he did.
It's just because he's a shapeshifter and he doesn't want people. I think he did that because he didn't want Adar to know his face.
Okay.
Like because he knew Adar would still be alive.
But what was good about all of this was that we figured out why he ended up on the boat. In season 1. And we understood that now, so that was pretty cool.
Yep. I mean, yeah, we got the explainer where he got the Southland's King's chest or crest. We got it, which is pretty mean because like I was starting like to think, oh no, we're gonna go the sympathetic Sauron route. I was like, oh no, like don't try to redeem him. And like, no, they didn't. Like he literally went along with them to bide his time and like gather his strength. Also, he was using that mass manipulation that he has.
Yeah,
because he knew he had time. Like he's pretty much eternal. Like lifespan wise, so he could go with them for like 5 years and still go back and kill Adar. Like it. So.
Are you talking about in the 3rd episode, the Orc family? I thought that was a bit weird.
No, well, it's actually not. Like it is for like any media that you've ever seen, but
they look more like goblins. By the way, they didn't look like orcs. But anyway, they're skinny.
But just in regards to the orc family, it's actually a little bit more like orc wives are more treated like a puppy mill. Like they're the reason why you don't see orc women is because they are constantly pregnant and having babies to resupplement the armies.
Well, the idea of orcs getting it on it freaks me out. But okay, fair enough.
I mean, like that, but I'm pretty sure it's more like a puppy mill. It's like like I thought it was weird that that like they just had that orc wife there with the baby, and it's just like, no, I'm pretty sure it's much more devious than that. I'm pretty sure they got all of these women just laid out in a cave, all just giving birth, having like getting pregnant, having babies. I don't know what the gestation cycle is for an orc, but like I'm pretty sure they keep them all locked away because that's their army factory right there.
Yep. Well, I'm trying to remember more episode one. I know Gladriel got like the fifth degree in scolding from her king.
Well, yeah, I mean,
For
moving on to that part. Yeah, I mean, it was really interesting, that whole dynamic, like that whole conversation with Gladriel and
Elrond.
Elrond. Sorry, I dropped his name there for a minute. Elrond and King Gil-galad. Yeah, it was really weird because like the king originally was like with
Galadriel.
with no, he was originally with what
Elrond.
Elrond. Why do I keep dropping his name? Elrond, but then like as Galadriel and Elrond were kind of debating back and forth with it, the king was actually leaning more towards Galadriel. I don't know if that's the rings influences, even though the rings aren't supposed to have any influence from Sauron himself, but
Not yet.
but they still seem very tempted by the rings, like as we saw later in the episode when they started putting them on.
Yeah, and it was good to see. Like this is like what I enjoyed about these first three episodes was seeing like Sauron's plan of manipulation. I was getting very much Palpatine vibes amongst the Jedi. When it came to the manipulation of getting your enemy to do what you want to do for yourself, making them your allies, but they're going against their best interest. And he's doing that with the elves, making the rings. Because I always wondered, for instance, like in Khazad-dûm, when they tried to get inside Khazad-dûm in Fellowship of the Ring, the entrance was in Elvish. I'm thinking, why would the dwarves have an entrance in Elvish? But there might be an explanation now regarding the rings. And obviously we saw the caverns being destroyed and shit like that. So there might be something there, if you know what I mean.
Well, I mean, there is. I mean, with the lore, like it basically Celebrimbor and actually the king of the dwarves, though I can't remember his name right now. The guy, the dark-haired one that's like a council.
Yeah, the older one.
Huh?
The older dwarf. You mean the one with black hair?
Yeah, the one with the dwarf with black hair that was like with the king, kind of like his.
Yeah.
Him and in the canon or in the books, him and Celebrimbor are supposed to form those doors to Khazad-dûm. So that's okay. I mean, I don't know if that's how it's going to go in this show, but it seemed like that's at least Celebrimbor was going to be involved in the formation of that. I mean, he's definitely involved.
They need some repair done, don't they? Because there's no light coming in, and obviously, so I'm sure something like that will happen as well. Whether we get the Balrog as well, I'm not so sure. I doubt
probably.
It.
I imagine later on in the season we'll see it. I mean, it's in the promo material, so we'll probably see it somewhere. Dana Vince says, and was that Shelob's mate? We just saw the egg cave. It being so small made me think it was her mate. I don't even know if it was her mate. I think the problem is where they was too far north, I think, for it to be Shelob. But maybe it is her mate. Maybe Shelob's mate went north. I don't know. Or maybe it's just creative licensing.
I know Shelob has been in human form herself.
Mm-hmm.
So we might see Shelob as human before we see her as spider. But I think that those moments were just there just to serve us as fans to remind us that spiders are about and they're big. And as an arachnophobe myself, those scenes with Isildur and the spiders freak me the
spiders
fuck
don't
out.
Bug me, man. Sharks bug me. If there's a land shark in here, I'm out.
Okay, fair enough. So
So, oh, go ahead.
I'll just. I mean, I don't know if you want to keep talking about episode 1, is anything more?
There's the. I guess we're kind of going through the episode instead of going through the characters, which is fine. Um, I did like the way they went about with Sauron. Him not just walking in and wrecking stuff. Like in Mordor, like him getting captured,
Yeah,
him presenting himself as the king of the Southlands, him negotiating for his people, like seeming like he doesn't care about those people. Let's be real. He is trying to trick Adar into thinking that he is the king of the Southlands. He does not want him to have any clue that he is actually Sauron. So
he was. Yeah, he went in there. He went into Mordor, and yeah, his manipulation was great. And by the way, I'm so glad that human guy got his comeuppance, because he was the one who started it all. If it wasn't for him, Mordor would not have been what it was, and it's such a shame because it was a beautiful bit of land, and he fucked it all up. To
yeah.
side with and he got his comeuppance by that dog, that giant dog. So that was pretty cool.
The whatever it was called.
And obviously he escapes, and those orcs and goblins, they're shitting themselves because they're worried of a Sauron retaliation. So
Yep. And as I said, I just like I've seen some people say, why would Sauron care about the people of the Southlands? Why are they trying to make him sympathetic? And I'm like, no, like that's a part of his manipulation. He is trying to convince Adar. A king would say, spare my people, let them go. I will give you that's because he wants Adar. The only person he cares about getting to is Adar. And to trick him into thinking that he's actually the king of the Southlands and not Sauron. He didn't want to tip his hat to them. So that's why I'm like, people online are like, oh, he's trying to release the Southland people because they're trying to make Sauron sympathetic. No, they're not. It is a part of manipulation. He doesn't care if those people, he didn't care if any of those people died before or after they were gone.
Yeah.
So,
exactly. Yeah, you can see he's totally manipulating the way he got Celebrimbor to work for him, even though Celebrimbor gave his word that he wouldn't work with him, and he's able to manipulate him, pretend to look like a super elf, and he fell for it like a dickhead.
What did you think of the just the last part of the episode I kind of wanted to bring up was about Elrond basically trying to get rid of trying to steal the rings and get away, and like basically getting disavowed from the elves just to have his Círdan, I think is his name, is the old elf with the beard, which is, by the way, from the books, he is one of the only elves with a beard because he's in the third cycle of his life.
And he did end up shaving his beard, didn't he?
But that's all a part of it, is because
hold on, the third cycle of his life. Explain that to me.
So elves have like 3 cycles in their lives, and I don't know the specifics of each cycle, but I know that there's the young cycle where they are kind of like Padawans, and then their main cycle, which is their longest cycle, which is where you see like Elrond and Galadriel probably like early in their second cycle. Like they have come to fruition. They are their own person. They know what their purpose is in the elvish community. And so like I'm trying to think of Elrond in Lord of the Rings was probably towards the end of his second cycle. Third cycle is basically when you're over the hill. You are like, you're not like decrepit, but you are just like, you are done. You can sit back and revel and like he was one of the original elves that were born at the beginning of time, when the god of the Lord of the Rings created every like all the elves and stuff. He is one of those that was created. He is one of the last ones that did not go over to Valinor.
So do these elves end up dying?
They don't end up dying. They can die, but they normally go to the Undying Land in Valinor.
Okay. Well, I've always wondered, without considering they're supposed to be eternal, I always wondered that if that was the case, then the whole of Middle Earth would be full of elves. because
but they don't procreate very often either. It's they don't procreate a lot. Like and honestly, they say that like husband and wives can go like like not hundred, like tens of
thousands.
years, not tens of thousands, but like tens of hundreds of years without seeing each other. You know what I mean? But they're still married. So
Okay.
yeah, I know it. As I said, basically, yeah. But their lives are like I don't remember if elves have a lifespan. I do know that they get to a point where they go to the Undying Lands. But I don't know if they actually like die. And I mean, if you die in Middle Earth, yes, you are dead. Like if you're an elf and you're dead and you're in Middle Earth, that's why they aren't just like, oh, we can go do whatever we want in Middle Earth because we won't die. No, they will die. I don't know what that means for them in the afterlife in Middle Earth, when they die in Middle Earth. But when you go to the Undying Lands, it's basically like a physical heaven for, anyone, because the elves normally go there because they're so close to the gods of the Lord of the Rings, and I can't remember what they're called right now. But yeah, it's just okay. Anyway, long story long, this guy is basically one of the oldest elves in existence right now.
Fair enough.
So I think and I think towards the end of the episode, of course, we get Sauron, pledging his allegiance to the Lord of Mordor. I thought that was hilarious. And then heading to Celebrimbor in Eregion and, wanting to work with him on the Forge. And at the end of the episode, it has Celebrimbor being notified that Sauron was there and, time for yada yada. You know what I mean? Like
A lot of Middle Earth hasn't developed in the way that we saw it in the Lord of the Rings trilogy. It's still yet to be those areas. I mean, I almost felt that the place where the rings were forged, it felt like Isengard. That big tall tower. I mean, I'm not sure if that was the case. If it
No,
becomes Isengard,
that's a Region. That's just a large elven city that stuff happens.
fair enough.
But yeah, I mean, I'm not trying to spoil too much because I know the lore, but I mean, stuff happens there. And Rivendell, the one the capital of the
Yeah, we did. Yeah, we saw that.
No, it's not built yet. It's going to be built soon, but it's not built yet.
So where were the elves at with the tree?
What is that stupid city called? I don't remember now. I'll look it up because I want to know now too. But yeah, so we can move on to episode 2 whenever you're ready.
Let's go to episode 2 in the Knights of Ren.
Yeah, right.
Well, that's the vibe I got when it came to Gandalf and those two younglings or those two
Well,
halflings.
it's not technically Gandalf yet.
No, but they're getting there. And we also got Sauron as well, by the looks of things too.
That's again not confirmed as Sauron either. You're right. It kind of gives us that vibe. So here, I think it's still the Blue Wizards because they're really pulling heavy from some of the Silmarillion and some of the books like that. So I still think it's going to be.
He just that he was wearing white. Now that could be Sauron's predecessor. There is a possibility. I mean,
Sauron or Saruman?
Sorry, Saruman. I apologize to those names.
It's okay. I just want to make sure I was catching you right.
Because I think what would be really cool is that the guy everyone thinks is Gandalf ends up being Saruman. That would be fucking great if that was the case.
I think they're the Blue Wizards just because in the books, they do talk about the Blue Wizards going into the Eastlands, and they did talk about them failing their mission to stop Sauron. And also that either it says one or both of them started their own started cults in the Eastlands. So kind of looks like one of them's already started a cult over there.
Now, what I was noticing is how deserty a lot of episode 2 looked, and when it came to obviously the guy who fell from Earth and the two halflings, So are they south of Gondor?
No, they are no. They are east of Mordor. Like they are far east of
Oh,
Mordor.
really? East of
Yeah.
Mordor?
Hmm.
Okay,
They're
I've
in
always
Rune.
wondered
They're in Rune. So
what's over there on that side
yeah.
of the map.
Sorry, I'm still trying to look up this city. It's driving me nuts that I can't remember what it's stupidly called.
No problem.
But yeah, no, they are east of Rune, or I'm sorry, they're in the east in Rune, and damn it, I can't find the name of this stupid city. Oh well, I'll give up.
What is their mission, by the way? Because I know
To find the
and
stars, like the star formation. Remember that he made with the bugs or whatever in season
okay,
one, and apparently that is in Rune.
and he also has visions of his staff as well, which is
Hmm.
interesting.
He had us, didn't
And
he? I thought he had a staff last season. I that I might be misremembering, but
that is part of his power, and he tried to obviously make the tree flourish with fruit, but he didn't. He blew it up, and then it's been flourished with bugs, which the halflings were happy to eat because they eat shit like that. They eat snails, they
yeah,
eat bugs.
they eat a lot of
Yeah,
shit, literally.
yeah. It's funny because I can't imagine the hobbits eating that shit. Maybe the snails, but definitely not the bugs. I mean, they like to eat well. You see the food they eat. They eat fish. They eat bacon. Yeah, I mean, so yeah.
All right, so just showing you here. So okay, so
Oh,
you see here. I'm gonna actually blow this up a bit more if I can.
please.
Um, can I
Let me
get?
see. I can zoom in as well, or I can. So there's ruin. Yeah, I see it on the right hand side.
Yeah, I was trying, but it's just
There,
yeah. So Rune is right there
in,
on the right hand side. That's where they're heading towards. But Rune is like from the like going behind Mordor there all the way up. Like it is Rune is a huge desolate wasteland.
yeah,
So and actually I don't know. Can I zoom in here? Oh, I can. Okay, sweet. So yeah, you kind of see like all this right here. So there's the Sea of Rune. Because can you see my cursor? I don't know if you can see my cursor.
yeah. I can see a
Okay.
cursor.
Okay. So there's the Brown Lands. Like, so they were kind of wandering through, like, I think kind of up here in this area until they actually found like Rune, which is right out here and maybe down here. So, like, so that's where they're at now currently, somewhere between, like, in between here. I haven't seen any bodies of water that make me think it's the Sea of Rune, but yeah. So,
The detail on this map is amazing.
oh, this is not even a super detailed map. This is just the one that's most famous.
The mountain ranges all over this place is fucking unbelievable.
Yeah. So anyway, so yeah, so that is kind of all that. They're in a bag of potato chips. So, and I can bring that. I'm going to leave that map like in the background just in case we need it again. But anyway, so the second episode, I know we're dragging on here, but the second episode, we're in Khazad-dûm, and we get to see.
Slim Shady's back, by the way.
Yes, Slim Shady's back. That's right.
Yeah,
What would they call him? Feminine or call her Feminem last season?
feminine. Yeah, feminine.
I saw her and I'm like, hey, it's Feminem.
Yeah.
Dana
So
Van says, I assumed Isildur got his boots from the Dead Marshes. Maybe. Well, no, they were a bit further north than the marshes.
yeah, and those
Because
dead marshes, but those dead marshes had the bodies of all the people who fought Sauron um, under Isildur at the beginning of Lord of the Rings, Fellowship of the Ring.
yeah, because
All those bodies.
I think they were down here by Osgiliath and everything, and the Dead Marshes are way up here, is what I think.
Well,
And I might be wrong on that one. I'm not 100%.
He definitely took that sword. I noticed
Because
There's a sword poking out, and you took that.
Yeah, because if you look over here, this is right here, the city at Etta Helen or whatever it's called. The Numenorian settlement that they took off from in the last season, like where they came in and then they left. So that's where they were heading, was down here, where they met up with the other elf, which I can't remember his name either because I'm so bad at this with names.
What's the name of the two halfling girls? I forgot. The two hobbit girls.
Merry and Pippin. No, the halflings' names are. This is why I need to have the stuff pulled up, just because I am bad. Eleanor and Poppy.
Okay. I liked them. I liked some of the scenes with them actually during the course of the show, because we've obviously not. I'm going to call him not Gandalf. All right, until he is, or until we find out who he is. But not Gandalf and Eleanor and Poppy. Their scenes were pretty good. If you remember in Two Towers, they had the cloaks of the elves, and they're able to use that to camouflage themselves, to make themselves look like rocks.
Mm-hmm.
But the hobbits have been doing that. You know, these halflings who are obviously the descendant of hobbits, they've been doing shit like that prior to the needs of elves. It kind of shows you the evolution of the hobbits. Like once they got into Hobbiton and they found, you know, the place that they were going to live, they kind of stopped being, you know, in a way, so tactical with how they are, you know, like in hiding and stuff like that. They just live regular lives. But these hobbits, they know how to make themselves blend in with their surroundings, because the moment the Knights of Ren were coming after them, not Gandalf was trying to find out where they were, and they'd already fucking disappeared. That was great. Absolutely great. Yeah,
Yep.
Nori and Poppy. Oh, fair enough. Thank you very much.
Yeah, they no, I actually felt like there is a little. I felt like it was a little bit better. I'm kind of done with the whole mystery thing. Like the first season, where it was like, who is the stranger? Who is Halabrimbar? Halabrand, not Halabrimbar. Halabrand. Who is Halabrand? You know, who's Sauron? Blah blah blah. It's like, no, like I'm kind of done with the mystery. I kind of want them to just reveal who the stranger is, and I think by the end of the season we'll know. I do believe that. I do believe whether it's Gandalf and Saruman, or if it's the Blue Wizards. Another point that I did want to point out, though, that I noticed is that if you notice on the what's it called, the guys with the masks and stuff like that, they have blue on their armor, like it's painted on. That's kind of one of the clues that say they might be. I'm trying to find a good image.
They work with, they work for wizards, and they work for that one wizard who looked like
that's
Saruman.
what I mean. So they probably have the blue on because technically he's a blue wizard. You know what I mean? Like, so I was trying to find an image of them with like that.
I'm just saying that I have no problem with him being a blue wizard, but yeah, Radagast the Brown is brown because he wears brown. Gandalf the Grey wears grey. Saruman the White wears white. Why would this guy who looks like Saruman not wear blue if he's a blue wizard?
Okay, so the thing is that, and as I said, if they are sticking to the books, so keep in mind they could change this. And I'm not a purist. I'm like, look, if they change it to Gandalf and Saruman, sure, whatever. But Gandalf and Saruman and Radagast the Brown don't come until the Third Age. Like they're the only people that actually come in the Second Age is the Blue Wizards. They're the only two wizards that are in Middle Earth until the Third Age starts.
Okay, so well, from what we've seen from the materials, we've seen this one guy who looks like Saruman. We got a guy who looks like Gandalf, and we got a guy who looks like Tom Bumbledore, or whatever the fuck his name is.
Tom Bombadil. We know that's Tom Bombadil. We know that's him.
Who we saw in the commercials. So there's only two blue wizards. So and it seems to be 3 wizards in this show.
Well, so Tom Bombadil's not a wizard. Tom Bombadil is a. Well, a lot of people say that
people say he is a blue wizard. Some people say he is. You know,
Tom Bombadil says that Tom Bombadil is an entity that is a mystery to all of Middle Earth. A lot of people say that Tom Bombadil is Tolkien inserting himself into, like, because he has a very carefree nature and a very bulbous nature, and he's just very like lackadaisical, and he has said he was there in the beginning and he will be there at the end. So a lot of people say that Tom Bombadil is kind of like Tolkien's avatar into this world. Like he's just there to enjoy everything. Like he's there to enjoy the world, enjoy, just, when you create a world, you just want to revel in it and enjoy it. And so a lot of people say that might be what Tolkien was going for, but he's kind of this, he's not one of the Maiar, technically. He's not one of the ancient gods. He is just kind of, so it'll be interesting to see where the show goes with Tom Bombadil. But he's not a wizard, even though he wears a wizard hat. That's what I'm saying. Like he makes no sense in the lore. Like
he's got a very, very fit wife apparently, so we'll see how that pans out too. So I mean, that was in Lord of the Rings, Fellowship of the Rings. I just want to say regarding the end of the scenes with not Gandalf and Nori and Poppy, like when they were needing of water, they fortunately they found a well in the middle of fucking nowhere. Great, but that well came with a price because obviously it had a bell on it, which I don't know why the fuck it has a bell on it, but it does. And next thing you know, the Knights of Ren, they come along, and then Gandalf uses his magic. Not Gandalf, sorry, uses his magic and creates a fucking tornado or some shit like that. Nori and Poppy fly off. I think Gandalf flies off in it as well. I can't remember.
I don't think he flew off. But yeah, Nori and Poppy flew off, and we'll probably figure out. We'll probably find them in a tree somewhere later or something. I don't know. So
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So not Gandalf is having a hard time controlling the the big nature of his power.
And what happened to the Knights of Ren? Did they like all die and shit? I can't remember.
I don't think it just showed them disappear. So they might be dead. They might be just gone. They might have gotten away. Who knows? Because I don't think they really followed up like with that. Did they? In the third episode, they didn't follow up with Nori, Poppy, and the stranger.
No.
Not Gandalf at all, right? Like I don't think they did.
No, they're gonna leave that for another time. Daniel Vaughn, sorry, you want to press it? Yeah, the bell had to be a trap if it were to draw people to the water. Yeah, good point. It's a good point.
Yeah, I agree. It was a trap for anyone, like So, the other interesting thing on this episode, then we can move on, was I found it was funny after Celebrimbor, or not Celebrimbor, the eldest elf, he shaved his beard after putting the ring on, which is kind of an indication of kind of him losing that wisdom.
Good point.
Huh?
That's a good visual reference. I like it. Yeah.
Yeah, because Círdan, I took it as, it was kind of like, because a beard on an elf is supposed to symbolize age and wisdom and everything like that. But it's kind of like a visual, like, hey, like something is wrong here. You know what I mean? Like, and that's kind of where I took that, and I thought it was good.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't really pay much attention to that particular character. He considering with the other elves, with the king and Elrond and Gladriel, who is ready to do a mission now, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll see how that pans out. But we also got the dwarves in episode 2 as well. We got to finally see them.
Yep.
And
back to Khazad-dûm and all the politics going on there. And Durin the Fourth got excommunicated and disowned by his father, and we know that they are stubborn as all hell. And
I like the way they're all like shopping and shit, and next thing you know, everything starts to fuck up, and the cave singers who sing to the stone, they can't repair things either. If anything, they're making things worse. And that's when the offer of the rings come into play. The rings of power, or rings with power. so to speak. Um,
Daniel
so
Vance
yeah,
says the actor was Syrian Hines. Hines. No, you know something is wrong here. He never plays a typical character. Well, no, and he's not really a typical character. Like he's a very special in the Lord of the Rings lore. He's a very special character because, as I said, he is one of the eldest elves that is still. Well, he is the eldest elf that's still on Middle Earth. I guess I also forgot to mention. We got to see the transformation of Sauron in this episode, where he goes before Halabrimbar and transforms into Anatar, the Lord of Gifts. He pulls a
yeah.
Loki and becomes, he
He's
changes his
very low key.
form.
He's very low key. Like in this, actually, throughout all of this,
Hmm.
he definitely resembles Loki quite well. Regarding manipulating people almost to a mischievous way for his own personal needs, for sure.
Yep. And that's kind of, I mean, that is a big moment because he becomes Anatar. So I mean that's a big thing from the comics. See, you can tell from the books is if they didn't do that with Sauron, I'm pretty sure people would have rioted against this show. And I do feel like this season they are trying to they're trying to tread a little bit closer to trying to go a little bit closer to the books just to make some of the book purists happy. I don't want them to just stick to the book just because I don't mind them making some changes, but at the same time, like you got to make the book fans happy as well.
Yeah.
um Dana Van says, "I'm happy they're delving more into Isildur's sister. She was far overlooked as a character in the last season."
Well, if we're going to go into episode 3, I have to
Let's go
say
for it.
that I have to say that the characters of Numenor were for me the least interesting aspect of the show so far. I didn't give a shit about any of them. I
That's because
mean,
you just don't like royalty. That's why
no, I felt
don't
I
like the
felt
money.
like I just felt like what's going on here? Like, how is this going to play a part in the overall story? And why do I care? And the fucking eagle at the end and all of that shit, and that one particular guy you could tell is pretending to be on the side of the queen, but really wants to overthrow her. Probably wants to be the new king himself.
Yeah, I
Um,
mean it's politics. Numenor is very important to a lot of the story leading up to the battle for Middle Earth. The end of the Second Age. So I mean there's a lot there that
well,
has to do with
the,
that.
the stuff involving Isildur though was the stuff that was most interesting regarding all the Numenorians. Like at the beginning, when it came to Isildur's horse, they couldn't take it away, but then so they let him go, and then Isildur's horse found Isildur. Yeah, later on, when the bad guys took it, that horse was willing to go with them. Like, what the fuck, stuff like that kind of pisses me off. Like the horse is reluctant to go with the Numenorians, but it can be taken away by thieves, ridden away by thieves, not taken away,
Mhm.
ridden. And I didn't like that. That stuff like that bugs me a little bit, like surely that horse would have like um
Yep.
yeah,
Ginger Greek says apparently paint drying is more fun than this show. Well, that's the thing is that when you're trying to be faithful to but like this is a show based on a long series of books. So if you're going to try to keep it as faithful as possible to the canon, it's not going to be like every single episode is like the best thing ever. I mean, there's a lot of lore building, there's a lot of and Tolkien's universe is immense. Like since season 1 I've delved into it a lot, and just I'm in awe how big this universe actually is. Ginger says I'm currently binging Chaos.
okay.
Jeff Goldblum is Zeus. Hell yes, great so far. 5 episodes in.
I do. Jeff Goldblum and Zeus is just a bit weird, but I'm willing to give that series a shot. Funny enough, Ginger, Only Murderers in the Building season 4 is out now as well. need to review that for the channel, but I'm also going to be reviewing Terminator X or Zero, what the fuck it's called, first. So yeah, there's a lot of shit I need to get under my belt.
Well, take your time, enjoy it. Don't rush.
Yeah, fair enough.
Daniel Van saying the ceiling of the Palantir is huge. This is true. It makes me wonder though, because there's supposed to be more than one Palantir on Numenor. So I don't know if they're in the show. They're making it. There's only one.
What the fuck is a Palantir?
That's the crystal ball that they were holding.
Oh yeah. Yeah, likewise, Ginger.
So the stealing of the there's only we've only seen one so far, but they're supposed to be numerous throughout Numenor, and then they make their way to Middle Earth, and that's when we see them in Lord of the Rings. Obviously Saruman has one. Who else has someone else had one, but
I remember the one in Lord of the Rings. It was only the one that Saruman had though.
Okay, and maybe there was only the one there, but there's supposed to be multiples, and they're on Numenor itself. But maybe they just changed it to one. And Ginger's now singing Numenor, do 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 do. I don't know what that means, but okay, must be a British thing. Gonna wait for the whole series to drop for Murders in the Building. And Daniel Van says they're not all accounted for, and maybe they aren't accounted for. But I from what I read, the Palantirs are all supposed to be on Numenor, and it does use dark magic, so that's kind of why they're not supposed to be used.
Well, look, when we were in the Southlands, by the way, though, when we got is it Elendor, the elf?
No,
the black guy who plays the elf,
or Ella. No, I think you're about right. You're about right. I just Ariandor or Ariandir.
Okay, yeah. When he came in, like Orlando Bloom, that was pretty cool. What I liked about all of those scenes, though, like obviously Isildur met the girl and tried to help her out. Fair enough, got stabbed in the leg for it. Okay. Then he tried to help that old man out. That was an ambush, but luckily, what's his name again? Alejandro? What the fuck? Alejandro?
Ariandir.
Oh, god damn it. Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Like, that's why these names are so hard. I'm like, God, I have to have the cast list in front of me in order to remember their names, like all of them. Obviously, I know like Galadriel and Durin and stuff like that, but
he made to say it was pretty cool. But then we find out that girl also has the tattoo of those thieves, of those killers, which is going to be interesting to see, because is she a redeemed person trying to hide her former life, or is she undercover?
I feel like she's more. I feel like she's trying to hide the fact that she accepted the brand. But I don't think she's like loyal to. I don't think she's a spy. I think she was trying to burn the brand off, or not burn it off, but like burn it more so that it disappears.
Yeah, because we saw it in episode 1, they were getting all these humans were getting branded.
Mm-hmm. Otherwise, they would be killed.
They were dead. They'd be killed. So it was like, okay, so she could easily go against. She could be like a bit of a survivalist, and just be branded, but not necessarily go along with the flow. She gets an opportunity to escape.
Well, and a lot of people are predicting that she's going to be Isildur's wife. Yeah. So because Isildur has to have kids, otherwise there's no Aragorn. So
eventually, yeah. Because so far there's only like 4 or 5. You got Sauron, you got Galadriel, you got Elrond, you got Isildur, his dad, who dies very, very early at the beginning of the Fellowship of the Ring. That's it, I think. And those are the only characters who are established from Fellowship of the Ring who are in this series.
And depending on who not Gandalf is.
Yeah, depending, and or who might be Sauron is as well. Saruman, sorry.
Yeah. So Daniel Vance says, screw Theo, that boy needs to grow up more. This was actually one of my least favorite parts of the show was Theo, which is the kid. and Ariandir, just because I felt like the stupid teen angst thing of Theo was just so like, I get him
wasn't
being like
it wasn't
sad that
that
his
bad. His
huh
mum died. His mum died, and he
yeah,
seemed
I know,
to
but
like.
just it was more teen angst than it was like actual sorrow.
I don't know. I just felt like he got over it quick enough for us to move on, and like he was playing ball and stuff like that. But eventually, it looked like the forest trees, the Ents. If you remember,
Mm-hmm.
they were in this, I think,
Mm-hmm.
and in that particular, there's a lot of spooky forests in Middle Earth,
Well,
aren't there?
and they could be the Ent wives, because remember in Lord of the Rings, the Ents said that they lost the Ent wives many
Yeah,
millennia ago.
yeah, yeah.
So
That'd be
some
cool
people are
to.
thinking that this is the forest that the Ent wives are in. And it's hold on, I don't know.
That'd be quality.
Yeah, so like I mean, I'm thinking. Oh, why did this not come up? Okay, so I'm thinking that this is. Let me see here. So they're over here. So it's got to be somewhere up in here, like up by the mountain range line, like because they couldn't have traveled too far from the settlement. So because it's not like they
Yeah.
were gone for like days, like they went that night.
Where's Osgiliath?
Osgiliath.
It's near the mountain of Gondor.
Oh, over here, Osgiliath. Yeah, right here,
Oh yeah, yes, yeah, okay. And where's the mountain of Gondor on that map?
right here. Minas Tirith is right here,
Min- Minas Tirith, yes, yeah.
and then Osgiliath is here. Minas Morgul, which is where all of Sauron's forces came from, is here.
Yeah.
What was the other one you were asking about?
No, that was it. I was just wondering, trying to connect all the bloody dots. It's hard.
Yeah, I know. As I said, I looked over this map a lot when last season when I was looking at things. Like basically, where a lot of the stuff went down in season one was kind of like up here. So it wasn't even that far in Mordor because where's the
Where's Mount Doom? That's Mount Doom where your cursor is.
yeah, Mount Doom doesn't say Mount Doom though. Mount Doom though. But
Yeah, but
yeah,
it looks
so this is
it's
where a
kind.
lot of that stuff
Yeah.
happened. So we never even got down here to like any of this. So
It's called the Sea of Nurnen, but it's basically a big lake.
yeah, they. I mean, and as I said, we don't even venture in there really. Like honestly, in Lord of the Rings, I mean, they go from Minas Mogul up here, and then they go into here, and then they're down in here. So like, we really don't even see this back part of Mordor like ever. At least not yet.
Yeah. Yeah, that volcanic cloud, man, it really fucked the such a large chunk of land. I mean, it's incredible. It's like it's the size of a fucking country. You know?
Yep.
Yeah.
So anyway, so yeah,
Hold on. Aaron there. Thea is blaming Aaron there for his mother's death, and he knows better. Luckily, Aaron there can take it, and I felt Thea got over it pretty quick as well. Which is why I'm all right with it. They didn't they didn't drag it. He was in pain. Look for somebody to blame. He's young, all of these things, but then he got over it pretty quick and tried to help Aaron there. So I think it's good. They moved on from it pretty quick, which I'm happy with.
I just don't get why they killed her. Like what? Why? Like why? Like I mean, I guess yes, people die, so I guess it's realism. Like like people
I
die
don't
in these.
mind. I don't mind. Like it was never meant to be. Like he was an elf, she was a human. It was never meant to be. And she was vulnerable to being killed, and she has been killed. And now Aaron there is almost going to have to play this paternal role for Theo, whether
Yeah.
he likes it or not.
One of the things I really wanted to highlight was Durin and Sauron or Anatar at this point. Anatar's conversation, like when Durin was like meeting with Celebrimbor and Anatar, and they were like trying to sell them on these rings, and like I
For
love
Mithril.
Durin. I love Durin. He saw right through the bullshit. He's like, oh, did Elrond not tell me that you are the most wise of elves? And Durin's like, now wait a minute, like I know you're freaking lying there. I'm like, yes, I love this character. So I'm sad that he hasn't gotten a ton to do but the little that he's already been in these first 3 episodes, I'm like, I love it. I love him there. I love him.
Yeah. They can see right through the bullshit.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah. Which is why historically dwarves and elves don't get along, because the elves try to come across as nice and kind, but the dwarves, who are like, very honest in how they see things, think that they just think they're full of shit.
Yeah.
Even
towards the end of the episode, Durin tells his father, Durin the Fourth tells his father, he's like, Dad, I think you were right about these elves. Like,
and the funny thing is
Elrond may be the exception, but these guys are really full of themselves.
If anything, that might have the reverse effect with his dad. And oh, really? You think so, son? Let's go work with the elves then. I always go the opposite direction to what you say. Which is what ended up happening, by the way, because he was there.
Yeah.
To give Celebrimbor that piece of mithril to make those rings.
And so Sauron did, or Anatar, quote unquote, aka Sauron, did touch those ones, because they kept on saying that Sauron did not touch the elvish rings.
He almost looked like he did a bit of sleight of hand. I don't know why, but
he was probably casting like dark magic on it.
Because he when you see the beginning of Fellowship of the Ring, and regarding the rings that have been given to the elves, to the dwarves, and to men, like it's very quickly stated in that, and that narration. But here we're seeing the manipulation and why he's doing it, and the control and everything, and it's that sort of shit is really intriguing, knowing when you're seeing all those jigsaw pieces being put into place to what he ends up achieving. But he will achieve what he wants to do. You know what I mean? So that's what makes it so fascinating. It'll be interesting to see what men he uses regarding giving them the 9 rings as well.
Yep. So I mean, that was kind of my standout in episode 3. Obviously, at the end, they were forging the dwarven rings, and yeah. So I mean,
well, no, there's more to do with Numenor, regarding the balance of power, and they said that other guy who wants to be the new leader, and Fate confronted that eagle, who I was hoping would rip the shit out of him, but didn't. I thought he was going to ride it, but he didn't.
Yeah,
I mean, he might have pretended.
I did like the way they were portraying the king in this episode, or the queen in this episode. Like she was more apathetic towards all the people who had lost people, even though it was a completely volunteer mission to Middle Earth. It was still sympathy, huh?
She lost her eyesight. How was it? The dust.
In the battle, like just getting injured. I think.
Okay.
I don't remember the exact moment, but she did she got.
And she's lost all her eyesight. She's like completely pitch black.
Yeah, I believe so. Yes. I don't think there's any sign that she's getting like any kind of eyesight back.
Okay, because I once again just wondering what was going on.
But she lost her sight in the volcano explosion. Her sight in the volcano explosion. So, I mean, that'll do it.
Yeah, that's what I thought it was. Okay, so that's the problem when you have 2-year gaps between seasons. It really makes you fucking forget shit.
It really does. I mean, there are details that I just don't remember.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean that's kind of it. I'm sorry, I kind of got to wrap up here soon.
Let's wrap it up, dude.
Yeah. So I mean, I'm gonna put the poll up. I mean, Zam, overall thoughts of these 3 episodes now that everything's kind of out of the way. What do you think?
I'm like I said, I'm finding the manipulation of Sauron to make these rings and how he does it and all of this stuff. You could see all of that in play, and I find that pretty interesting. And some of the other subplots or side stories, or additional plots, however you want to look at it, have been interesting. Like not Gandalf and the two kids as well, and even the Isildur hasn't been too bad, but the rest of the Númenóreans, not really for me. Um, I will say that this season has started off a little bit better. Galadriel hasn't been the main player in this series so far. She was like the main character in the first season. They've really pulled back on her this season.
So
If you
far,
notice
yeah.
that, they've given other people a chance to really step into the light.
Yep.
Whether that's tactical or not, I don't know.
Yep. So anyway,
Overall, though,
polls up, everybody. Go ahead and give us your vote. Zam, what do you think of these first 3 episodes? Let's just rank them together.
one big rank. I'll give it a 7 out of 10.
Okay. I am going to overall. I will probably give them an 8 because I think they've done a really good job the beginning of this season. Again, and even though yes, it was a slog to get through all 3 episodes so quickly. I do think that they are off to a really great start this year, and I mean it can either go down or up from here or stay the same. But
I would have given it a much higher mark, maybe 8 or 9, if the Numenorian scenes had captured me like every other scene, and because it didn't, it gets a 7.
okay,
But I do feel there was a lot more action in these episodes as well, which was very much needed because some of the episodes were bland as fuck. And
yeah,
Lord of the Rings, let's be honest, as beautiful and as scenic and loreish it can be, sometimes some of the reasons why we love it is some of the great battles and action scenes. And we got a few moments, if not necessarily action, some harem scarums and some magic as well. So it was nicely done. Yeah, to keep us entertained. But this is an entertainment business.
Daniel Vance says, interesting to see what finally drives Elrond into putting a ring on. I think does he put on the High King's ring or does he put on the Elder Elf?
I think the High King's
Saran's
his
ring.
dad.
I don't remember which one he's supposed to wear.
The High King's his dad, and I think he ended up taking over from his father. So I think he might end up wearing that ring.
Who? His father's not there. Are you talking about Elrond's dad?
Isn't the High King not his dad?
No.
Oh,
no.
sorry. I'll take it back.
Yeah, no, sorry, no. Because yeah. So I don't remember which ring he does have on in Lord of the Rings, though.
I believe Galadriel's husband ends up wearing one of the rings.
Maybe. Yeah, probably. I think.
Yeah.
Okay, so Elrond's ring is blue, so he's wearing the High King's ring. Because Surat or whatever his name is, the eldest elf is wearing the red one, I believe, right?
Yeah,
now I'm second guessing myself. Whatever.
When they put that ring on, like she put it on with no hesitation, and yeah, the tree started becoming cool again and all of that. So
yeah, well, yep. All right, well, I guess that's it. Rings of Powers, season 2, episode 1, 2, and 3 are in the bank. Next week we will be back on hopefully Friday, maybe Saturday, depends on what we have going on Friday, for Rings of Power episode 4. Let's see where things pick up from there. So Zam, thank you very much for joining me here today.
Thank you. I can't wait to talk about next week's episode already. I'm looking forward to it. It's a better start than last week. And once again, this is a series. This is not Peter Jackson. People have to accept it for what it is, and just appreciate it for what it is. If they don't, then fair enough. I totally understand that too.
Yeah, I mean, if it's not for everybody, that's fine. I don't blame people for not liking a show. I just hate it when people hate a show for reasons that aren't that
irrelevant.
Yeah, irrelevant. Okay, so anyway, with that all being said, we will please like, share, and subscribe, and we will catch you guys in the next one. In case you have forgotten, the name is NerdTube. Remember it.